This video is sponsored by Koala Naturals. Koala Naturals provides you with a high-quality, all-natural lye soap that is free of any harsh chemicals, additives, preservatives, or artificial colors. Koala Naturals Lye Soap is gentle and sensitive skin, but tough enough to clean the dirtiest of hands. Use Koala Naturals Lye Soap to clean your counters, dishes, clothes, and even yourself. Pick up your bar of Koala Naturals Lye Soap today at koala-naturals.com. Link in the description. Now back to your video. Okay, so here we have a Concert Deluxe, what's a Guyatone Concert Deluxe model GA950, and the complaint here is that, it takes at least 20 minutes for the audio to start working on it, and when it does start working, it's really crackly and hissy and makes a lot of pops and clicks and noises and such. The volume control does affect that. I've already turned this on and tested it the other day. The volume control does affect the crackling. I've already checked the tubes in here, and the two output tubes are completely shot in this thing, and I'll link footage in here. Showing the two tubes that I tested. I'll link the footage here. Okay, so this is the quote good tube. You see it tests good. This one's the one that doesn't have the evidence of red plating on it, but the getter is pretty recessed on it. It still tests good. Now that obviously doesn't mean that the tube is still good. I think that there's still a gas leak in this tube. But let's go and plug in the other one now. And this one was the tube that red plated. I just now turned it on a moment ago, so let's give the filaments a moment to warm up. Yeah, you'll see it comes up much, much slower. And it's not going to get much past 30, and then it will start to dip the other way. Yeah, this tube is cooked. This tube is dead. Yeah, so I'll definitely be needing a new set of 7591s. And so let me go ahead and I'll just show you what I'm talking about here. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but this is the getter. It's a 7591 output tube, and this is the getter, and it's all sorts of colors, and it's shriveled up a little bit. You can see that the getter on the top too has recessed, and there's a little bit of a brownish white color around the edges of it. I'm also noticing this big silver spot here too, and if you look inside the tube, I'm not going to be able to show this on camera, but if you look inside the tube, where that silver spot is, there's no hoop that has the getter material in it. So it looks like this tube may have red plated. I don't notice that on this tube so much. Just still the same cooked getter, but it tests okay. I am noticing still though that the getter has recessed on the top. So the tube is obviously leaky. So I'll have to get a new set of tubes for that. The rest of the tubes tested okay though, so I'm going to go ahead and open this thing up and we'll check. I just want to check the output stage real quick. I'm pretty sure that the filter capacitors are okay. They didn't sound like there was any filter hum or anything when we were checking it the other day. But I just want to open this thing up real quick and check the output stage and make sure that there's no, that the output transformer is okay and that there's no leaky coupling capacitors or anything that would have caused that tube to red plate like it did. Okay, so in this amplifier, this is going to be the grid. This is pin 6 of the output tube. This is pin 6. So I'll be checking the bypass capacitor, which is this one, and that's the bypass for this tube here. And then there's also one right here, which is a bypass for this tube. So I need to check those and just make sure that they're not leaky. And I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so I'm measuring the leakage current, just using my power supply and my scope. And I'm measuring the leakage current across the first capacitor. And we're not getting any leakage at all. That bulb line that you see is just the noise from my power supply. But we're not getting any leakage at all across that first capacitor. Let's check the second one. And the same thing with this one. There's no leakage on this one either. I'll check these capacitors again once I get a new set of output tubes in, and just make sure that at high voltage there's no leakage across those capacitors. Okay, so upon initial inspection, the bypass capacitors on the grids of the output tubes appear to be okay. The input stage of those look just fine, though. I'll have to check the voltage on them again once I get a new set of tubes in for the output stage. I'll just check the voltage and make sure that there's no leakage on the input stage on the bypass capacitors. I'm checking the bias here on the grid. Well, it's on both grids too. And they're both at about negative 23 volts, which is going to be right above the cutoff point for these tubes. So I don't think it's an issue with the biasing, and obviously we don't have any leaky coupling capacitors, or at least so leaky that they're just immediately dumping DC onto the grid. So yeah, it's interesting that one of them red plated like that. Maybe this thing's been worked on in the past, but it just seems all this thing's really going to need is just a cleanup and a new set of output tubes.